Good morning. Good morning.
GM, how's it going, Clemente?
Good, man. Good. Happy Wednesday. It is. This is episode number 21. I saw your Phillies got the dub yesterday. Unfortunately, my Mariners could not do the same.
You spoke a bit too early in the Discord there. Hoping for that Mariners Phillies World Series, kind of jinx yourself a bit.
Not looking good there, man. But yeah, definitely tough. But you shake it off, you move on to the next one. But guys, welcome to the morning show, the WGMI Morning Show, where we bring you everything and anything you need to know about the NFT market in 30 minutes or less, using WGMI's various tools to provide you that competitive advantage in today's market. We know we all need it, and hopefully we can help you make some extra money. If you like some of the tools, analytics that we're bringing you, don't forget to DM us the word newsfeed for a chance to win a 7-day trial to use all of our tools. And please remember, this is not financial advice. This is strictly for entertainment purposes, as we have to say. And but other than that, some of the broader market stories we're going to cover today. Obviously, we have Bored Apes and Mutants seeing that downtrend yesterday after the SEC announced that they're going to be investigating whether or not Bored Apes qualify as a security and the distribution of ape. We'll dive into that a little bit later. But in addition to that, Opensea volume in single digits for the third day in a row, which you don't like to see. Definitely not great, especially with a lot of those sales coming in from the Bored Apes and the Mutants. So we'll dive into that. We'll give you everything you need to know on that. But moving on to the morning market report. 1 second. Ray, would you be able to share out your dashboard? It appears that I can't share my screen with this computer because I don't have the preferences set up, but I'll work on that in the meantime.
I'll even add in your little floor asset for you.
Please do. So yesterday's Opensea volume was $9.6 million. When you sort NFT collections by the 24-hour volume, as we are doing so right now, you have the top three. Bored Apes coming in with 736 ETH in volume over the last 24 hours. They saw, if you can scroll to the right, Ray, or possibly zoom out a little bit. But yeah, so you see that volume there. So coming in first, and it was mostly a Yuga day. Yeah, if you could pull up the 1-day sales for me, that'd be great. You saw Mutants coming in at 551 ETH in volume. 10 sales for the Bored Apes. That is 39 sales for the Mutants, and CryptoPunks rounding out the top three. As well, you see ETH sitting at $1,300, Ape sitting at $4.72. There's about an $8 to $10 or 8 to 10% decrease during the 24 hours that we saw that news drop. But it was mania out there yesterday, Ray. I am curious on your thoughts, whether you want to talk about it now or when you see this red in the dashboard. What sticks out to you? Do you feel like it was a market overreaction, or what are you kind of feeling as far as sentiment goes on your end?
I mean, you saw a ton of volume. I mean, we didn't see much OpenSea volume in general, and then most of that volume surrounding, the Bored Apes and the Mutant Apes, which were declining in price. So it's not the best volume to see, but it shows you that there are still buyers at discounts. I think at one point we saw like 20 offers accepted, or in a row here on Mutants. Just all offers being snatched up. We'll see how it looks like. Are these going to be, happy sellers or happy buyers? I think that there's a large overreaction to the news. I think we'll dive into it a bit on the news feed side of things. But, my overall take is like everyone's been saying, hey, we need regulatory clarity. We need, we need this to happen. Like, how does that happen if the SEC isn't looking into this project? And if you're looking at Yuga, like they're the ones with the biggest war chest. They are paying all the lawyers. They have the big VC funds behind them to fight this case in a way that's probably going to be, the most advantageous for the NFT market as a whole.
Yeah, if there's anyone we want taking on this case, it's Yuga. We don't want some of these rugs taking on the SEC, because it wouldn't be a great look. But I think if you look at it from a long-term point of view, it's definitely that idea of hey, this is what possibly a lot of the outsiders looking in are looking for, is that regulatory clarity. And I hope that the SEC takes more of that educational approach. Like, hey, we want to learn more about what this is. We want to learn more about the impact that it could have and why it's important to hopefully support this and support this level of innovation. So, well, we hope to see that, but then in the short term, it does come with these bleeding of so many WETH offers being accepted in one day and that floor price dipping over the last 24 hours.
Yeah, definitely interesting to see the number of sales. We saw definitely some long-term believers, and the people buying, they're saying, "Hey, nothing's changed in my mind." Essentially, at this point, we knew the regulation was coming. Like they're looking into it, and we're not going to see an outcome for a while. So I mean, there's a couple definite possibilities looking down the road, and I think we're a long way from either one of them. It turns out that they are registered as a security. They did do things that, violated security law, and then there's a lot of trouble, or they get cleared. And hey, that could be a catalyst for a huge, bull market. And we get good, positive clarity in terms of NFT ownership, stuff that is advantageous to owners, buyers, etc. We could see that ignite an NFT bull. But I think any of those outcomes are a long way away. We may hear some leaks here and there about the status of the case, but I think we're not going to hear much about this for the next year. It'll just kind of be looming in the background as one of those, eventual market moving stories.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I'll as far as the dashboard goes, there's a couple other things I'll point out later today, but it was interesting to see Clonex sitting at 8.5 ETH. Last night, I think it got to below 9s, and overnight it dipped a little bit more. But you are seeing the listing starting to settle down a little bit. To be honest with you, short term, I think it will bleed a little bit more. We might see it go to 8.2, but I don't see it going below 8. And I think with the news and with Clonetober going on and some of these potential new catalysts, like we were talking about right earlier in previous shows, it's at a low in terms of attention right now, right? It was at that high, and I think we'll see it regain that attention hopefully before the end of the week.
Yeah, I mean, it also could be suffering a bit from the news as well. People maybe just liquidating, saying like, "Oh, the market, everyone's going to overreact. Let me get out now. The market may overreact a little bit more. Let me enter back in." I'm not trying to do any of that kind of trading. I'm not trying to be that active. I did list my clone yesterday. We were talking about it. I listed a bit above floor just to catch any potential pump, and I think the aesthetics of it are a bit above floor. So I'm listed there. Just wanted to provide an update. I know my agonizing decision yesterday was talked about a few times. Did list. I think I listed at like 10.2, pretty much above floor, but can adjust it quickly if need be. Just wanted to catch any kind of pump, or maybe a buyer who likes the specific aesthetics of my clone itself.
Yeah. Please keep us posted if that does sell.
One thing I noticed, I was looking at the central land. We were talking about this a bit on the pre-show call. Seeing that floor run up 1.7 to 2. Don't know if this really had much to do with any of the news we've announced. With the Metaverse music festival that's going on over there. I'm not too familiar with Decentraland. I'm a bit more familiar with Sandbox Land in terms of plot size and what goes on there. We're still approaching 100K here in the total collection size. We saw a good amount of volume yesterday. I think that was probably the catalyst on Decentraland's floor price jump. I think we saw it jump 16% yesterday.
Oh wow.
1.7 to 2 ETH, but you're not seeing a ton of sales every day on this collections, and there aren't a ton that are listed around the floor. So low liquidity, low listed supply, only 241 listed out of 100,000. So you could see that floor fluctuate a bit, but something to keep my eye on. I know there's news coming up. We've talked a bit about Sandbox. They have the alpha season coming up. We see the music festival going on in Decentraland. Are they trying to regain some of that attention? I know we had that boom around this time last year for Metaverse Land. Is that going to be something that everything's trying to piggyback on? Maybe we see other side news. Maybe we see Sandbox do well, and we see Decentraland, the music festival, or whatever else they're working on there, be successful. And I think success for one is going to translate to success across the board. People are going to speculate into a different land asset if they, for whatever reason, one's pumping and they can't get into that one.
Well, 100%. And I'm curious to see, actually, because based on what you're telling me, I see other side, Decentraland and Sandbox all near the same floor. I know other side is at about 1.78 last time I checked as far as floor goes. So when you look at I'm curious to see like NFT worlds, Decentraland, Sandbox, and other side, how those four compare. And if they're personally, obviously, I would put my money on Yuga, and that would be my main one that I would put my money on. But the other ones, like you look at Decentraland, for example, they have like a 1.5 year advantage in terms of time. So also something to keep in mind there.
Yep, for sure. I'm also looking here at NFT Worlds. That's been running a bit over. This is the this is since the beginning of October. We ran from 0.7 to 0.99 over the course of 10 days, 11 days. So a little bit of this is being unnoticed. I haven't seen it talked about much. I know we talked a bit yesterday about Sandbox. Kind of one of the useful parts of the WGMI dashboard is being able to catch some of these, seeing some of these 30-day, 7-day, 10-day numbers. And I haven't heard this narrative of metaverse land pumping, and it could be something that we see going forward. Keeping an eye on it, and hopefully ready to deploy capital if we do see some sort of catalyst. I know that there's a bit of volume there. The listings are low. There may be a good opportunity for a flip or maybe a longer term investment in the land.
Absolutely.
That being said, I think we're ready to jump into the news.
Let's do it. 100%. I'm excited.
1 second. I think what we'll start with is we'll just jump right into the Bored Ape news, being that it is kind of front of mind, and we can show you a bit of the news feed's ability here. You can filter right into a collection and jump right into the news and see the history of that collection. So we'll do that here to jump into the ape news. We'll start off with the SEC ApeCoin probe. We talked about this, but essentially, the meat and bones of this update was, that the SEC is investigating Yuga Labs. They're looking at the token sales. They're looking at ApeCoin in terms of like the specifics. We don't have a lot more details outside of that. This is reported by Bloomberg. We did see that price action run, and we did talk a bit about that when we were going over the dashboard in terms of what exactly this may entail. We alerted you guys as soon as we saw this on the newsfeed. So, this is the kind of news you can be expected to get broken on the newsfeed. If you're, hanging out on WGMI, make sure you're refreshing that newsfeed, taking a look, jumping in. You could have gotten in maybe during that ape pump or ApeCoin, or maybe looking at your assets, maybe taking some of the offers if you're less confident, or putting some offers in if you feel like, hey, this is going a bit too far. We also provide you with the updates on the ApeCoin AIPs. We have some details here. There's been some new AIP ideas submitted. There's been some new drafts reviewed. There's some current AIPs being voted on. We have the links to those snapshots and proposals right on our news feed. We also had a bit of news in terms of the larger Yuga ecosystem, with the other deed Twitter being compromised. Looking at the other side, we saw Garga, one of the founders, saying there's something weird going on with the Twitter account. They essentially changed their name to just a dash, and they got rid of their PFP, maybe trying to alert people that, hey, there's a potential scam coming. He said some weird things were going on with that, so be careful. I wouldn't trust anything coming out of any Yuga Twitter account. I would just make sure you're taking your time and you're vetting the source very thoroughly before you interact with any contract. I know a lot of these hackers are targeting Bored Ape, other deed holders, as they have some of the more valuable assets in the space. So always be careful. Always use a cold wallet. Use ledger storage for your valuable assets. That extra level of friction provides you a bit of safety when you're interacting with these contracts. You may have to sign something quickly or try to put a transaction through, but needing to interact with the physical ledger kind of gives you a second to like really pay attention to what you're interacting with. I couldn't recommend it enough.
Yeah, the hard thing is it's sometimes a speed to the game, like speed game. So the faster you transact with something, the better, which is not ideal when you look at security. And that's where they get you. So always good to be on the safe side, and maybe you lose on some potential profits, but you do end up being a little bit more secure.
Yeah, and it's absolutely pretty certain that Yuga is not going to do anything without proper announcement. I don't think they're going to have any kind of race that's a stealth launch at this point. So, don't jump into anything thinking you're smarter than everyone else, you're faster than everyone else when it comes to, an ape drop or another D drop. Just take your time. They're not going to be announcing something and having it be stealth and time gated like that. Moving on, though, we are updating you a bit on Tim Ferriss's new NFT project and how to get on that allow list. We've been following this from the beginning. I think we were one of the first 50 followers of his new project. So he provided an update. He said there's an update coming on the 5 Bullet Friday, which is his newsletter. To get access, you need to be a subscriber beforehand. So we have the link here right to the blog. Subscribe. Make sure you have access to that. Maybe subscribe on a few email addresses. Who knows? This will be a valuable one when he does decide to drop this. And, he does have that wide audience, one of the, top names in podcasting, something to watch out for sure. Make sure you enter into that, follow all those steps, as that could be a very, very valuable win if you do get on that allow list. Moving on to the Boss Beauties, they teamed up with Barbie. A new NFT collection is in the works. It will donate more than $250,000 to the Barbie Dream Gap project and Boss Beauties Foundation to provide skills development, leadership opportunities, and more to girls globally. Pretty cool to see Barbie getting into the mix here. Take a look at their Twitter. I know we always like to look at, the Web2 Twitters. Are they all in? Are they looking at NFTs? And, here it is. First tweet on Barbie's account here is talking about, International Day of the Girl, partnering with Boss Beauties NFT collection. Interested to see how this is going to play out. I feel like this is a great use case for NFTs, as these are already collectibles. They're already look like NFTs essentially, with all of their different outfits, traits, etc. I know you take a bit of interest in some of these Web2, Web3 collaborations. Do you have any thoughts on this one, Clemente?
Yeah, and just I love seeing this. I love seeing them posting about it, and I think it'll continue to happen over time. Here's my take, though, is I think we can all agree about the fact that we're going to be kind of stuck in this, not necessarily global recession, but we're going to be stuck in some murky waters for quite some time. What I'm realizing is there's a certain type of company or certain company conditions that you see as far as tendencies before they make the move into Web3. And a lot of the times it's when artists, for example, they're in the back end of their career, or football players, whatever it is, it's people that don't necessarily have a lot of room to run or are not booming or thriving, and they're looking for new revenue sources, looking for new customers, or looking for ways to potentially find a competitive advantage in this market or acquire a new community, acquire new customers. So I think actually when you see these depressions or these lockdowns or the economy not doing as well, I think companies are going to be more incentivized to get into Web3 because they've seen other companies do it in a profitable way. Just my take. And I think that's going to be something to watch and notice as we continue to see companies get into this space.
Yeah. I mean, the cost benefit for Web3 is way in the Web2 company's favor right now. Right. They hire a few devs, they're paying much more of this for one commercial or a marketing campaign than they are to get involved and generate the assets needed to create an NFT collection with their name on it. They've already built the brand. That is the part that, really, takes some time, has the value. They can capitalize on that brand in the Web3 space and make a quick profit with very little expenses. If you're somebody who's marketing in Web2 right now, you would have to, for a better way to be dumb not to be at least looking into Web3 and seeing how, your brand can jump in there, how you can leverage some of your brand value and generate a profit. It makes tons of sense.
Yeah. And in the short term, I think Keith Grossman says this a lot, where he's one of the main, he's probably the best media company's example of getting into Web3 in an effective and long-term strategy. What I will say is, one of the things that he says, hey, Web3 is not a new marketing scheme. It's not a new way to get profit. It's going to be a new medium in which you interact with your consumers and your community. So with that being said, I think there's going to be a lot of people that also, or there are a lot of companies that get into this for the short term, don't really do much and take their money and go. And then there's going to be other ones that really make a splash and really make an investment into it. So it'll be interesting to see both of those play out as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And this crossed my board. One of my friends actually works for New York Cares, is involved with charity in New York, and sent me this, which is funny seeing from like an IRL friend who's not really involved with the Web3 space, that there's a drop coming from Keith Grossman to probably something or about nothing. I'm not sure the details, but the mint's running Friday. I'll have to jump into that a bit more and provide some details on our upcoming drops on the site as well. A big charity raise for him, and you bringing up Keith Grossman, reminded me there. So something to take a look at as well. I know they've had some successful drops over at time. I'll be interested to see how this one does as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Moving on to the news feed, though, I know we keep getting deep into these news articles, but I think we're providing value, providing some context around them, and looking for ways to provide our listeners and our users, that extra leg up in this market. Like you said, that volume being so low on Opensea, you need to pick and choose your spots, and having the most information at your fingertips is going to be the way to win more often than not. So here we have news about a new NFT launching on Coinbase. I haven't looked into this one. Gen plus ESC. It's launching today on Coinbase. We're looking at it's 12 unique moments from Rabbi's directorial exhibit. It's on view at Nomad Gallery, West Hollywood. Interested to see exactly what's going on here. It looks like we have a 264 edition size, 0.12 ETH price. We can see different episodes from the artist website. Looks like some interesting generative art potentially. Looks pretty cool. Interested to see how it's going to do. We'll watch volume. I haven't minted anything on Coinbase yet. Have you?
No, I haven't bought anything. I haven't made a profile. I haven't touched Coinbase NFT, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I was looking at it when that Chicago Bulls piece dropped.
Right.
And I was like, hey, some of these look like great deals. And by the time those auctions ended, I was way priced out. So there is some attention there. Some of those sold for, pretty premiums. I don't know enough here to jump in, but if you are familiar with the artist, if it is something that speaks to you, definitely take a look. Interesting that you can see comments on drops here on Coinbase. I'm sure there's tons of wisdom being imparted as well.
It's extremely valuable, very valuable takes, and you can get a lot of value from those comments.
Yep, 100%. Moving on, though, let's see. We talked about the other D tweet already. We saw Jenkins, the Valet, close their first survey on the PFP art. They've opened up the second one, dives a bit deeper into specific questions. So if you hold a Bored and Dangerous book or any of the Writer's Room NFTs, we have the link there to jump into that second survey.
Do you think this is do you think they're it seems like they're taking it pretty seriously as far as that survey goes? It's one of the things that to be honest with you, I at first I thought it was more of not a publicity stuff, but more of like that marketing where you're like, hey, like this is something that we really care about, but in reality you're just going to kind of pivot and do things in your own. But it seems like they are really taking this seriously as far as getting the community's feedback into it.
Yeah, I mean, they've always been a community project. That's why it was so surprising to see the PFPs drop without any community input and to see that backlash right away. I mean, it makes sense to develop it with the community, take in feedback, get ideas, figure out how to reclaim the art, start from scratch, do a bit of both. I think it'd be interesting to have like a similar PFP to like what was released, just maybe more fidelity or like at least some like callback to this actually happening would be interesting as part of the whole narrative and story. I know they were pretty bad, but I think there's a lot of things that could be tweaked to improve them a little bit.
I don't know if anyone after that can have that as their PFP, to be honest with you. Even if it looks good, if it looks anything like it, you can't. I don't think you can. So you got to scratch the whole thing.
Interesting. I think we disagree a bit there. I think that it could have, that meme Web3 value. I think it's a story. It's part of history. Talking about history, we have CryptoPunks. We had a beanie CryptoPunk sell for 333 ETH to Punks OTC. You've been the resident expert here on the CryptoPunks buys, sells, who's been transacting. What can you tell us a bit more about what's going on here?
Yeah, if you go to the Punks website, if you can look at the account that sold it, I believe. Well, let's start with the account that bought it. Punks OTC has been pretty active. They're the one that bought Seed Phrase's Zombie Punk for 980 ETH a couple of weeks ago. They put in a lot of bids. They're pretty active in it. I believe they own 50-something punks. They've made a good amount of money on that on what they do. I think they buy and sell punks to help people get that want to buy a punk. They help them do it with, I don't know what they do, but they have a pretty large system built out already. And I think they're just traders of punks. So they know the system very well. They know the traits, and they're a good source of liquidity for people that need it, and can kind of hold those for then in the next way when people do want to come in and buy a punk, they can help them do it.
Yeah, it seems like they have a good quantity here, but I mean that may be the highest quality punk. Maybe I don't know the premium for hoodies versus beanies currently. Take a look at maybe the hoodie attribute and see what those sales have looked like in terms of punks. So we see a couple for sale beneath what that beanie sold for. They're selling, the 200 to 250 range, 300 for an albino.
Love it.
Interested to see there.
My mistake. Actually, they were not the one that bought Seed Phrase's zombie, but they did put in an offer of 980 ETH on a zombie punk right after Seed Phrase's sale. So I want to make sure I'm getting that right.
Yeah, absolutely. And then here's the account that sold that beanie for 333 ETH. They've got a couple apes here, a nice hoodie VR as well. Seems like they're 3D glasses maxis as well. Some of these are very nice, very clean. They've got a nice account. They have one of the ape punks listed here at 2.85K ETH. They've only sold the one punk.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they're liquidating some of the higher asset values one at a time, hoping to keep a bit of a stack. But this is a nice collection here as well from that seller. And I didn't even mention, the alien. That's probably the most expensive one of the bunch. Taking a look at that also. So big news from CryptoPunks. I'm enjoying, these big sales. It's nice to be able to go back to the punk site, click around, seeing some action there. Definitely good news for the NFT market. This is one of the premier collections and the most historic collections. And I think the way that, Yuga has this set up, I guess it was Larva originally, but Yuga owns them now. It's just really enjoy the look and feel of this website, looking through it, and gives a bit of nostalgia from a year ago.
Yeah, and it was also announced that they would be kind of reworking the website a little bit more to make it more quality and easier to work with. Restoration project. There we go.
Jumped ahead.
So yeah, they're going to be working on restoring that. But one of the things I saw yesterday, Ray, when during all this Yuga news, someone said hey, this is why I own a CryptoPunk. This is why I love punks and why I'm going to hold them over the apes. Is I don't want punks are not going to have to deal with any of this or this performance risk or all the legality that can come with the future and uncertainty with NFTs. Is their value is not going to change based on the value proposition is never going to change. The historical significance that they bring. So it is cool to see that. And this is why a lot of people do feel that punks are a safer bet than apes over the next 5, 10, 15 year time horizon.
Yeah, I was going to say, Nate took the best job in the world in terms of cultivating punks, taking control of that project. He doesn't have to do much. The best thing he can do is nothing at all almost.
Right.
and get paid for it. So interesting to see there. I'm sure there's, little small tweaks they can make. They can do some things in terms of Punk's OTC is a great account that, is providing that liquidity. They can, increase marketing a bit, get into maybe some people who are a bit more entrenched in the fine art world in terms of physical fine art, bringing them over, educating about punks. I don't think they need to do much in terms of leveraging punk's utility or doing anything like that. I think it's more about education, awareness, marketing. And that's basically, the foundation of what, you need to do for these punks going forward.
That's it. And look, if you're under the take that punks or the NFTs are going to get the adoption that they get over the next 5 to 10 years, thinking about the fact that there are, how many millionaires are there in the world or in the US? There's probably a couple million last time I checked. And if you think about the fact there's only 10,000 CryptoPunks or 10,000 apes or 10,000 moonbirds, it's a very small amount. And I think when you look at some of these sales, those are probably going to be once in a lifetime opportunities. If like I said, if we do get the adoption that we hope happens. So definitely something to track, something that's going to be noticeable over the short term and long term as we see more of these big sales come in.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually just got a Twitter notification from the creator of the Ether project. Just reminded me, wanted to jump in on this. We've covered it in upcoming drops. One of the most important things you can do is put on notifications for V's account. She tweets a lot and then deletes them. And a lot of the times they're like, hey, do you want to join our Discord? Like looking here, she's only had 1, 2 posts and a retweet over the last like 3 weeks, but I get like 10 notifications a day. She just habitually posts, deletes it. So have notifications on. I always try to like respond, interact with her posts. Good way to get into the Ether Discord, and that's going to be your first step to getting into an allow list. This is going to be a valuable project. We're going to be following this along the whole way. There's been a bit of delay, so we have a bit longer of a time frame on this drop. But number one step, if you're watching this, follow her, and then definitely turn on notifications. Just wanted to do a quick aside there as that got brought across my attention. Always trying to provide you as much value, breaking news, opportunities we can on this show. Moving back to the newsfeed, though, after another long aside, of course, we have MetaKey partnering with IMX, Immutable X, for its new game, New Ganymede. They've been developing New Ganymede in-house for a while now. This is one of our launch partners, and we really respect the people over at the MetaKey, love what they're building. They're developing this game. There's different aspects, ecosystem. There's going to be an education component. Really excited to see what they develop over there. We have some more news, some more information, linked sources, etc., on our newsfeed if you want to read a bit deeper, but something I'm definitely interested to see the development progress and to see what that final product is going to look like. Matoshi announced a bit from World of Women here under International Day of the Girl. They're announcing that they're leading an initiative to lead 300 girls into Web3 and gift them their first NFT. It's called Let's Mint. Program dedicated to helping young girls and women learn about NFTs for the first time as part of the WOW Foundation. Love what they're doing in terms of onboarding. They're one of the probably the most educational and widespread, doing good NFT projects out there. They're getting their marketing in all kinds of places. They're doing, education. They're doing these initiatives, charities, etc. I love what they're doing. I think they're going to be a good, face of Web3 in terms of what people jump into the space, see, being introduced in the world of women and seeing the care that ecosystem takes, their values. It's definitely going to turn a lot of people onto the space as, some other rugs and projects may turn them away. I think they're doing a great job of onboarding. They're doing a great job of education, marketing, all the above. Moving on to cyber brokers, we saw them release their first roadmap. There's a long Substack article written by founder Josie. They went over, what's happened since launch, what they've been doing, what collections have been released, the team, their plan going forward, how they're making quests more acceptable. This is one of those projects where you need to be very active to be able to follow along. And we keep you up to date with all that information on our newsfeed. We're following all of their channels of communication, making sure you're not missing these deadlines. But it's great to see that they're finally kind of building out a roadmap for the future. A lot of holders have been enjoying themselves and participating in these quests, but there really hasn't been, I don't think, that view of what's coming. And this provides that. So if you're interested in that, take a look at our newsfeed, jump here, click on the link, check out the Substack article from Josie. You'll have access to that as well. We have our daily Zen Academy raffle opportunity, Lord Punk's Mint List, always providing you with the raffles and allow lists that come from your holdings. We talked about the Restoration Punks already, restoring their website. We talked about the SEC ApeCoin probe, and that brings us to the end of the newsfeed for the day, Clemente. I know you're struggling a bit over there without your dashboard. I don't know if you have anything to add, or you need me to jump into anything else that you want to take a look at.
If you can, really, the only project I have for today, Ray, if you can share out Gutter Clones listings versus floor over time. This is and just do it since October 1st. So the reason why I like Gutter Clones right now is the big thing that stuck out to me was their listings. So over the last 5 days, their listings have gone down 17%. And the listings are down to the levels that they were at before they pumped to 0.2. So the listings, I'd love to see that decrease. Let's see if I can do this. There we go. I love that decrease over time. And the floor price is pretty much staying at that 0.1. So to me, this screams a value buy. I'm going to get in. To be honest, I'm looking to buy multiple. I want to have one that I can ride all the way up to the gang token being released. And another one that I'm going to sell on the way up as far as the pump goes. But I have probably a couple months time horizon in mind. with them having said that Gang token will be released at some point in Q4, and we still have a few months left in that.
Definitely interesting to look at. My concern is, like, are you buying anything today? You are going to buy some today.
Yes.
Are you concerned at all about, continued bleeding from this SEC probe is my only question.
Yeah, other than this, like I'm pretty much taking a wait and see approach with everything, but like if everything's going to bleed, then I'm pretty much toast either way, other than just holding ETH, I guess. But I just see like a 0.1, I put in a couple offers. So I don't really mind too much. Yeah. I mean, if we see a massive bleed over the next couple of months, yeah, that's not great. But overall, I think that knowing the degens that we're not just going to sit here. I think everyone's going to keep kind of speculating, and yes, there might be less money in circulation, but this is still going to be a bounce, and there's still an attention space that's not going to change. And I still believe that once Gang token does come out, whatever money's left, some of it's going to go to the gutter ecosystem.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. And, that brings up another good point. If ApeCoin is being looked at with Yuga, like, is there a bit of this price? Will we see a bit of a further bleed here? People saying, like, I'm not going to speculate on gutter cats if they're doing a token too. Like, they have the Yuga model where they've, they just haven't done that other D drop. They have, the additional collections, the airdrops of files, the Gang token coming out. It's going to be interesting to see how they deploy that Gang token. I know that was delayed, right? That Gang token was.
It's been delayed, and I don't know. Who knows, right? Like, to be honest with you, I didn't even think about that. Like, because they
is that on the back of this news? Did they have some inside information?
Model. I don't know if they are going to, if they're going to postpone it or basically say, hey, like, we basically, like, with the SEC investigation going on about 8 token, and we have the same team. It also makes it kind of bearish now that you bring it up, but I put in a couple offers. I mean, I'm not too worried, right? Like, okay, if like the risk to reward when you put in WETH offers like that, that's my whole approach, is like everything here. It's not going to guarantee that I do well, and there can be other announcements that make it go lower, but I think it's a high upside. But yeah, I agree. I think right now in current conditions, I'm kind of staying away. I'm rather bearish over the next few weeks, and I'm definitely going to take that wait and see approach.
Yeah, I mean, I'm holding a couple. I'm not selling here. I bought a few cats. I'm holding a rat. Just getting them properly set for floors. With WGMI, you can set your floor valuation based on the traits. Some of these other higher traits may have a higher floor, but I think cat is the most important valuation for the floor of these assets. Yeah. Holding some clones myself. I don't think I'm selling. I don't think I'm buying, though. I think it's just a wait and see. Overly concerned, but I think there may be a bit more room to bleed. I'll add to this bag a bit over the next week if we do see that.
100%. 100%.
One thing we did see coming into the show, we saw a new mint. I use Ninja Alerts, and we're partners with them. They do a great job of alerting you with different wallets who buy. I was actually allow listed for this collection, and I only realized it because I saw Ninja Alerts, and I remembered, hey, I have this through a partner collab. Saw all this activity, buys, sells, etc. Took a look at the project, ended up minting. But we've seen a ton of action on this collection. It is Yin, I believe. I can't pronounce it. I'm probably butchering it, but it's the first time I looked at it this morning when I just slammed that mint button, seeing the volume. It looks like it's like almost like baby clones, but only reason I bring it up,
they look cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to bridge the line of pumping my bags or not. I'm going to sell these. Like, I'm going to sell these this morning into this pump, but just something to be aware of in terms of something that is currently running. Seeing a lot of action. I want to make sure we're covering anything that has a good amount of volume in the project at the moment. So I think they minted out. It was 0.07 mint price, and I think we're looking at 2x that right now with 260 ETH of volume already. Seeing sales roll in very quickly. I also had my activity tab up for WGMI earlier, seeing all these sales roll in. But if it's a project you're looking at, just be aware that it's minted. There's a lot of volume on it. If you minted, probably a good time to sell right now early. I'm not buying anymore at this price. I'm probably just cashing in on my win and leaving. But something to check out for sure if you are involved. And if you look at, our activity feed on WGMI, it shows you all of your assets, that have volume. It's showing you those sales in real time. So you can see that's taking up the majority of my feed in terms of volume, those Yuga in sales. You can also look at listings. You can look at how that works for, are there more listings than sales? What's that ratio looking like as that loads? That will eventually update all of these on the left-hand side. It'll also show, any other assets you have. So I keep this tab up most of the day. I can see what holdings I have. If there is one that's potentially running, I can look at selling. Definitely a good metric to have. Definitely nice to have up and check throughout the day.
Love it. Yeah, great stuff. Well, Ray, I think we are over as we usually are, but I think it's time to wrap it up. Thank you guys for listening to the WGMI Morning Show. We do this every weekday at 7:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Don't forget to join us tomorrow for episode 22 as we break down and give you everything you need to know about the NFT market. Ray, I'll let you finish it off.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for listening today. Thank you for hanging out with us. If you like what you see, if you want to use some of the same tooling we're using to generate these, market theses, looking at the data, looking at the news, jump on to WGMI.io. You can mint our all access beta NFT. It provides access to all WGMI features throughout the end of the year, provides you a discount on future subscription, gives you access to our leading portfolio tool. If you're not using a portfolio tool to value your collections, what are you doing? Use WGMI, best in the business, first in class, most customizable, most accurate. We have the news feed included. Get the most up-to-date and actionable news on your holdings and the NFT market at large. Project Explorer, custom charts, graphs, data, the dashboard, the activity feed, history. We implemented wallet history. Tom's been working long hours getting you all these new features, adding features by the day. Come support us. Come mint our pass. Thank you for tuning in. And